watching Outside the Games with your host, Kevin Linton.
Welcome everyone to our show at Outside the Game. Thank you so much for coming in. Again, this is a show that's for the student athlete, talking about character on and off the field. Of course, academics as well. We have a great guest with us. It's Olivia Christopoul. She's class of 2022 at our West Boca High School in Florida. She plays for a national team, SoCal Athletics Marinakis Jaquish, and she is a 3.83 GPA, HPA 4.91. Nice to have you on our show, Olivia. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you?
Doing really well. Thank you so much. Of course, we always start the show with family. Family is such an important piece to who you are as a student athlete. Gives you structure, guidance, and of course, your parents play a very, very pivotal role in your life. But to start us out, how would you define family, Olivia, and why?
Obviously, family is people being there for you, constant support, being there for you in good times and bad, no matter the moments. Constant providing advice, navigating through my experiences.
Oh, that's great. That's great. With your family, with mom and dad, they play such an important role in your life. And let's talk about dad. How does he help you become the best student athlete and daughter possible?
Of course, he supports me throughout all my decisions, lets me know no matter what I decide, he's gonna be there for me. And that just makes my making decisions a lot easier, knowing that he's on my side no matter what.
Oh, that's great. With your mom, she plays a different role. There are those roles they each play, so they make sacrifices. How does your mom help you?
My mom sacrifices a lot of her time to take me to practices, film me during my trainings, just always being there for me whenever I need.
Oh, that's so important. With that though, there's a lot of times the mentors come into play, and they're there when your parents aren't, and they play such a huge role in your life. What would you say about mentors? How important are they, and who are they?
Who are they for me personally? Definitely my coaches, like Coach Jaquish and Coach Marinakis. I look up to them in any position of softball, honestly. Great people overall. They're great, great coaches. They tell me what I do wrong, what I do right. If I make a mistake, they'll talk me through it. Just mentors of people who you look up to for support and guidance.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's really good to hear. And do you think mentors play such a huge role in a student athlete's life? Do you think it's a very important role?
Of course, definitely.
So yeah, mentors do play such a huge important role in your life, Olivia. With the aspect of student athlete challenges, we know that there's a lot of that, and how you kind of manage your playing for a national team, and also your academics, keeping those academics high. And let's not forget, you're a Fairleigh Dickinson commit in college, so you've made a
Yeah.
commitment to a university. But let's talk about those student athlete challenges. How hard is it to manage playing a national team and your academics?
It's definitely not easy. I'll tell you that. It's a lot of time management skills, sacrificing more of a social life to keep up with your athletics and your school. Because if you don't have your school and grades up, you can't play a sport to the next level or even any level at that point. But it's just a lot of time management skills and knowing what time you have to give up and what time you have to put into stuff to know what you have to get done to accomplish your goal.
Important, Olivia, very important. Now, I noticed though, we didn't say that you play for your high school team. Now, you once did play for your high school team, but you decided not to play this year. What went into that decision of doing that? Because I could just imagine adding another layer of playing high school and a national team and academics. So why not playing for your high school, Olivia? Why that decision was made?
I obviously made the commitment to my national team and my Greek national team, so it was just way too much to have to also play on a high school team. I would rather focus more on my training and personal training to get better than go play on a high school team.
There you go. So you tried to eliminate as many. No, I wouldn't call your high school team a distraction playing for them, but you try to eliminate some other factors in your life to make it a little bit easier so you could compete with those teams, right?
Yes, I also travel a lot for those teams, so I would be missing a lot of high school games, and that wouldn't be fair to my high school team.
So, and also too, when you look at academics, are you taking a lot of homework on the road?
Yes,
I bet.
definitely.
Well, with the student athlete challenges that because a lot of times there's a lot of time management. That's a big one that student athletes talk about with all the time is how they manage their time. What tools do you use, Olivia, to help manage your time? Because there's things like the phone, a planner, you write things out. I mean, there's just a plethora of ways to do it. But we find it interesting that each student athlete chooses a different path, and it's very helpful for the viewers to talk about what ways you go about time management. What tools do you use?
I use a calendar and my alarms on my phone all the time. So no matter what I'm doing, I'll set an alarm for what I need to get done. And no matter what I'm doing at that time, I have to stop and get what I have to do done, and then I can go back.
So Olivia, you're kind of a visual person. You have to see things as they're written out. And are you the type of person that crosses those out once you've completed a task and
Yeah.
go to the next one? How do you handle that?
My month is planned out actually.
Boom. That's what I was
Everything
looking
is
for.
made.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
You're-
all planned out in my calendar.
Perfect. Perfect. So you're forecasting. That's
Yeah.
important. No, that's important. Is there anything that you write out on say a dry erase board, or you have something in your, or is that really just the aspect of the phone, calendar, and alarms?
That's usually in my phone and my calendar, yes.
No, that's
It
great.
keeps it more organized and in front of me all the time, so when I wanna check, I can just go on my phone and my calendar and know what I have to get done on a certain day.
Great job, Olivia. Great job. That's important.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about student athletes as far as the relationship with their teachers. Now, it's been interesting. We all know the elephant in the room somewhere is going to be COVID, right? We know COVID has played such a huge role in when you're talking about student athletes going to school, and then the aspect of going virtual. So, are you attending a school right now? Do they have you back in hybrid learning at all at West Boca?
No, I'm all virtual for my school, for West Boca.
There we
Yeah, I'm
go.
all
Perfect. No, I mean, we're going to talk about that, Olivia. So, with the virtual world and how you handle that with your teacher, take us in what a normal day is like on virtual. So, do you have like 5 classes that you have to take care of? I mean, what's that schedule look like?
It's usually 4 because we do a block schedule at my high school, but wake up at 6, 7, get what I need to get done in the morning, whether that's chores or anything I have to get done. Then I go to school at 7:30. Each class is about an hour, 45 minutes. Like 5-minute break between for like switching classes, which was usually walking across campus, but now it's at home. And then just next class, keep going, hour 45 minutes, and then pretty much the same thing every day. Ends at 2:45, and usually get my homework done after that, like right after school, or I go to training and I have to come back from training and do my homework at night. But usually the same schedule.
Oh, wow. So, a couple things stand out to me is the fact that you're organized. You have it on a planner and a month in advance. You also have a way to a schedule and how you handle homework and all that after a Zoom day, a virtual day in the classroom. Um, with that, it's there's a dynamic of the virtual world in a sense of your relationship with your teacher. Now it's different if you're attending West Boca, you're there, you see the teacher, they see you. Attendance is everything in virtual world. You got to check in, and that weighs heavily on your grade. Yes, but with your teacher, the student teacher relationship, do you find that challenging in the virtual world? As some student athletes have a feeling about that. What's your feeling on it, Olivia?
It's definitely difficult to have a connection with your teacher when you're on virtual, but going back and forth, have to have constant communication when you're online, obviously, because there are issues that happen, whether it's with homework or like internet issues, and you need to be able to communicate with your teacher. So emails, Zoom calls, everything like that keeps the relationship going. But it's definitely not the same as like in person seeing them.
Right. And really, I've heard student athletes say that sometimes when they send an email, it could be 10 days that they hear back from the
Yeah,
teacher.
some don't reply.
So there's some things here for the teachers in regards to what's on their plate. Don't get me wrong; they have a lot on their plate to have to plan a schedule and schedule planning, as it were. But For you, looking at your schedule and how you're handling that, what are some key things to note in regards to how you communicate to your teacher? Why is it important to communicate to your teacher, especially in a Zoom world? Why would that be important?
Like I said, if there's any issues with grading or any issues with like having to make up a test, for example, because you're on a plane and don't have service, you have to be able to have that like open line of communication, like let your teachers know. Some teachers are way better at it than others. Obviously, some teachers are more lenient and more understanding of student athlete situations, and some teachers aren't. And that's why you have to pick and choose your battles and know what can be done and when you have to get it done, or what teachers will allow you to get an extra day in or stuff like that.
Oh, that's big. That's big. Well, we have here with us Olivia Christopoul. We'll be right back, but we'll talk about some other things with regards to how she's managing things through her student athlete life and playing a sport she loves. Again, class of 2022, Olivia Christopoul, playing for a national team. She's busy playing with those teams. 3.83 GPA, handling it at that too, and being an outfielder, center fielder. We'll be right back.
When your only competition is yourself, every challenge is only yours to lose or win. Theragun has changed the game for me. I'm Amanda Anisimova. I'm a professional tennis player from Miami, Florida. The Theragun is really good in the mornings because it helps increase blood flow and prepare for my practices, especially when I'm pretty sore from the previous day. After I finish my matches during a competition, I love using the Theragun because I've been running around for so many hours and it just relieves a lot of the tension and I'm ready to go the next day. You don't go into life only thinking about the win, you focus on making history. It's time to think bigger. I wouldn't trust anyone else but Theragun.
Welcome back to our show. We have here Olivia Christopoul. She's class of 2022, plays on some national teams, Marinakis, Jaquish, national team, Greek team, and she is attending West Boca High School, and she is a 3.83 GPA and a 4.91 HPA. She is a Fairleigh Dickinson College softball commit, folks. Welcome back. We want to get into Olivia about the student athlete relationship with the teacher, as far as what can you do to make it easier for the teacher? What are some things you have to possess to make it easier for your teacher to be the best teacher she can be?
Let them know that you're a student athlete, keep them informed about your schedule, and if you're going to miss a class due to like you're going to be on a plane, or let them know what's happening. So then they can have like a plan set of what you need to do, and if you can do stuff earlier and like get homework in earlier so you don't miss anything. Like you got to keep them informed. You have to keep them know what you're doing so they know how to better prepare.
That's a great answer. What does the teacher have to do though for you to have you become a successful student at West Boca High School?
Some of them are a little bit more lenient and allow me a little bit more space and freedom to do what I need to do school-wise and athletically. Other teachers, however, are a little more strict when that happens and tell me I need to do stuff earlier before I leave, or sometimes they'll give me a day. It just depends on the teacher, depends on the class.
No doubt, no doubt. That's and you find it that there are some teachers that you would say, you know what, I'm feeling this teacher. This teacher I can get with. I can understand them. They're passionate about what they talk about. And then there's some that maybe it's a little bit of a struggle to get through the class. No lie, and it's no knock on teachers, but teachers have personalities just like we do. So it's that. Favorite class you're taking, Olivia, that you love? What do you love about this particular class? Tell me.
Probably ace thinking skills.
Nice.
The ace thinking skills.
And why? What's that class? Why is that class you like?
The teacher, most of all, and obviously the subject itself. The teacher is, like you said, you can get with the teacher, you can communicate. He's very, not lenient, but he's more understanding with a very strict schedule. he connects with your students, talks to them if they're confused. He'll take a private lesson with you. You'll give them like a private session to help better understand. Also, it's more problem solving, the questions. So it's kind of like a puzzle with every question you get.
That's a huge skill, though. Wouldn't you say that
Yeah.
that problem solving, thinking skills, those are important things to have in the future, especially if you're headed to college as a commit, right?
Of course, it's a college class actually, that's why.
Whoa, there we go. So yeah, it's getting you prepped ready for college. With that, what's your least favorite class? There's got to be one, Olivia. I know there's something on your schedule. Probably you're like, you know what, this, yeah, I like this. It's okay, but it's not my favorite.
Probably Ace Marine Science.
Okay. Why not your favorite class? What is it about that is why it's not your favorite class?
Um, I don't know, just the most difficult for me in the subject sense. The science is not my favorite subject, and being an ACE class, being a college class, it's definitely not.
I mean, come on, student athletes. I mean, that's the thing about it is that, being a student athlete, you're going to have your likes and dislikes, right? So that's, to be honest and truthful in a sense like that, Olivia, that's huge. You're just like, you know what? I'm not feeling that class. Uh, and even on the college level, you're going to find it with professors and with classes that, hey, I'm not feeling that class. And sometimes there's been, even college students that have taken a class and they leave that class to choose another class. That's happened,
Yeah,
um,
all the time.
all the time.
If it was in school, I think it'd be a little different though, because the communication line with this teacher is not the best, doesn't always answer emails. So I feel like in school it'd be a lot easier for this class.
Important, so important. Communication. That's the big piece there. With your school and academics, there you do travel. I mean, you've said that a couple times, and that's highlighted to me in a sense of like you're traveling, you're moving, you're competing with those national teams. How do you handle school and pick a time of when you're able to do your homework? Because planes, trains, and automobiles, right? I mean, you got to figure out. You can't just go, okay, you know what? I'm just going to do it when I get home. That's all not the case,
Yeah.
right?
During the season, I travel like once or twice, one or two times a month out of state, or either hours on a plane. But when it comes to school, I'm usually either on the airport, in the airport doing homework, or my team actually sets up times after games or in between games to come to the lobby in the hotel and just all work on homework together, get it done as a team, and then go back to playing softball.
How is Olivia as a test taker? Because there's got to be tests in there for Olivia to take, test your knowledge of what you're learning. So how do those tests go for you? Are you a good test taker?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you have to be a student athlete and keep your grades up. If you're not, then it's gonna be a little problem.
A lot of student athletes view these shows because they're helpful to them, and in a sense of how you prepare for a test. What are some things that you do to kind of make sure that you're ready for the test, you're ready to take it, you know it, you're going to feel it, you're going to nail that test? What things do you do to prepare for it?
Flashcards definitely help out as a student athlete because you can take them anywhere. I can take them in a car, take them in a plane, like I said, but flashcards are mainly the most helpful. And also not studying the night before. You have to take time out of your days, like during the week, to get to know the test and better prepare.
Sound advice from this Fairleigh Dickinson softball commit in college. So she's ready. She knows. With the COVID has been such an instrumental piece on how you have tried to navigate through this Zoom world, a virtual world in the class. What have you felt that's been the most difficult thing with COVID? How has this made you a stronger student athlete? Because we're getting through it. We're now turning around. Where the numbers are, getting lower a little bit. People are becoming vaccinated. So how did you get through COVID, and what did you notice about it for you that made it difficult?
On the recruiting side or as a student athlete?
Just as a student athlete, we'll talk about that.
Definitely not being able to see people all the time was definitely challenging. Definitely not being able to see my teammates, obviously, because I have to train on my own, and not being able to see them is obviously difficult because we're a family. That's what you are as a team. Um, Probably, yeah, like I said, the human interaction was definitely not easy to easy to get away from.
Not easy at all. Not easy at all. Now, with the aspect of recruiting, we'll get in touch a little bit more about recruiting, but when it came to visiting schools and having a chance to see different colleges, there were virtual tours. Is that some of the things you experienced with when it came to recruiting a little bit?
Yes, when I was during my recruiting process, we weren't allowed to travel. We weren't allowed to see the coaches. We weren't allowed to go to the campuses because of COVID. So a lot of them sent out virtual tours and sent like on my coach personally. I have his phone number. I have his text. So he would go around the campus, like get a video from me of showing me around.
How important? Did that kind of seal the deal for you in a way of getting that chance, that coach showing you around a little bit?
Yes, it definitely connected us on a more personal level, not just as a coach, but as I said, like a future mentor.
That's important. Yeah, we'll touch on the recruiting a little bit more, what that process was, what that experience was with your family. But let's get into media. Olivia, media has been such a huge piece to a student athlete when you're talking about, getting training videos up, seeing what you're doing in your games, social media platforms, having things available about your statistics. For you with social media and how you've handled it, why, first of all, let's look at this. Do you think social media is an important piece to a student athlete to get them noticed?
Of course, it's a vital part of the recruiting process.
How were you able to use media for your getting noticed and getting opportunities to go on the next level in college?
I use Twitter as my main platform. A lot of college coaches use Twitter and YouTube as to see recruiting videos and keep in touch with athletes.
Did you find that a student athlete has to handle Twitter or whatever social media platform the right way? You think there's a right way? How do you handle it? Take us through that.
Yes, there's obviously a right way to handle social media as a student athlete. It starts with what you post. If it's a athletic account or a personal account, either one, you have to be very careful about the content you post because college athletes will look into it, and if they see a picture they don't like, you're crossed off the list. It doesn't matter how good you are, how good your grades are. They don't want a student athlete with something that's not very good on their account on their campus.
Wow. And I really, you don't know when they're crossing you off. I mean, you could
Yeah.
probably think to yourself and go, okay, I got crossed off. But it's when you don't hear from them anymore, right?
Yeah, they'll cut off communication completely. They won't even let you know.
Wow, they've moved on. That's harsh. But it's reality. With how you handle media, are there certain platforms you use? And I know you'd mentioned Twitter. Are there other platforms you find easy to use to kind of get your statistics out there and who you are?
Instagram is also one I use very much. Instagram and Twitter are usually the main two.
Okay, all right. And you have a YouTube channel, right?
Yes, I have a YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all this.
Olivia Christopoul's all over. That's great. You get to see her play. That's awesome. With you being a student athlete and being able to play the game of softball, how do you find that you are able to look at how others are doing it? Do you kind of watch other student athletes on how they prepare? Are you observant of your teammates on the national team? And I know some of them are saying, "Oh, I got this offer, I got that offer." So I know there's a little bit of competition of who got offered, but take me through as a student athlete first. Do you observe them how they handle certain things?
Of course, my teammates in my team on the SoCal national team, the more emails you send out, the more coaches come to look. So even if a coach is looking at one teammate and someone else is playing really good, they'll take a look at that teammate. So we work together as a team to all send out emails to help each other get recruited.
Oh, it's important. How
Yeah.
do you, talking about your national teams, the coaches, they play such an important role in your life in a sense of just teaching you the sport, getting better at the sport. But there's also off the field things that they teach you as well. Take me through some of the coaches that are on those teams, what they do for you.
Coach Marinakis is definitely one of the main coaches who helped me on and off the field. Like a few days ago, he called me a happy birthday. Most coaches don't do that on a national team. Like he's very personal with his team. He wants to get to know them. he's like a second parent to them, pretty much. He provides guidance on and off the field, tells you when like the team practices for the team homework. He'll let us know, hey, like the lobby's open. You guys should go down and do your homework now because we'll have practice in about 2 hours, and he'll help guide us in every moment.
That's important. With that, do you find it that because the coaches, they sometimes tell you things you don't want to hear, and they'll be very clear about that, because it's easy to tell somebody, oh, things are great, everything's wonderful. They tell you what you want to hear. Then there's those coaches that tell you what you don't want to hear. How do you handle a situation like that, Olivia?
As a coach, the good coaches, the great coaches will tell you the bad stuff, and they'll be straight up with you, and they'll tell you as what needs to be heard. And that's how you know the difference between a good coach and a great coach, because good coaches will like make you like them, and they won't tell you the bad stuff. But great coaches will let you know when you mess up, when you do something bad, and they'll help you through it. And yeah, it's pretty much how you know the difference between a good coach and a bad coach.
Well, we're here with Olivia Christopoul. She's class of 2022, Fairleigh Dickinson College commit in softball and academics. Don't leave that out. 3.83 GPA and of course 4.91 HPA. She plays with the Marinakis national team, Greece team, and SoCal athletics as well. We will be right back.
The time is coming for us to get out and go again, to visit all the places we didn't know meant so much. But we're all going at our own speed. At Enterprise, peace of mind starts with our complete clean pledge, curbside rentals, and low-touch transactions. With so many vehicles of so many kinds, you can count on us to help you get everywhere you want to go. Again, whenever you're ready, we're ready for you. Enterprise.
Well, welcome back. We have here with us Olivia Christopoul. She's class of 2022, GPA 3.83, West Boca High School, and she is participating with some national teams, SoCal Athletics and Marinakis Jaquish teams. And tell you, Olivia, you have a lot on your plate. We've discussed that. But softball, we get to the game you love, you're passionate about. Olivia, take us through why you chose softball. Why was this a game you're passionate about and that you love and you want to play? Take us through that.
Well, when I was younger, I played a lot of sports, and it came from soccer to softball to basketball, pretty much every sport. So when it came to the time I needed to pick a sport, I was automatically drawn to softball. I had a passion for it. Just the mental game of it was also a lot more compelling to me at the time. So that's why I chose softball in that aspect.
You know, and so much goes into when you decide to play the game. You're like a sponge. You're observing. You're trying to find out, you know, what position do I want to play at? What suits me in my ability? Why outfielder, and why that decision to play that part? Because I've understood. You know, we've talked to your parents, and we've understood that, hey, one in high school they wanted you to pitch. And it was like, I don't know about that. So why outfielder, and why that position?
Mainly my speed. I am very, very fast. And outfield obviously needs to be fast, especially center field. So that's pretty much why I was drawn to outfield, to use my speed.
How important is that position on the softball field? Because I think every position is important, but that particular position, you have to communicate, because let's be clear. I mean, you guys are distant. You're in certain spots in the field, and so sometimes you're coming in, sometimes you're coming out. You have to recognize those hitters that come up to bat. Take me through that position. What goes into the communication of it with your teammates?
As you said, all positions are important in the game of softball, and no position is more important than the other. But when it comes to outfield, you have a lot more ground to cover. There's only 3 people in the outfield. And like you said, we're really far apart. So we do need to communicate and constantly talk to each other, tell us where we are so we don't run into each other, obviously. But we are the line of defense. We are the last line of defense when it comes to hitting. If it passes the infield, it goes to the outfield. We have to get it in as fast as possible, and that's when speed comes in.
How do you judge a hit? Because, you know, you look at a batter coming up to the plate, you know, they have a good running RBI, runs batted in. You know that they could be a slapper. They can pretty much be very good with the bat and where they want to position that softball in that gap. How do you read a hitter when they come up to the plate? Because it is some distance there. But how do you do?
Yeah. Mainly you look at where they are in the box and mainly their body type. If they're tall, lengthy, and they're a slapper, you know they're probably gonna pop it up or try and get it in the gaps, or try and like hard ground it past shortstop. If it's a short slapper in the left side, you know they're probably gonna bunt or like chop slap or small game when it comes to that. So that's where you like judge it, play in or out, and you also base it off like their prior at bats or their stats of where they hit in the game before you, and like in the like their position in the lineup. If they're first, you know they're really good at like getting on base. That's their job as the top of the lineup, get on base. Probably gonna go short game, but they're really good at getting contact on a ball. So that's how you judge like off the lineup, off like where they are in the box, what side they are on the box. It's a lot to judge.
And you have to do that from far away.
Yeah, a little far away.
There's the difficult piece to that, you know, because we're going to talk on that. When you there's some aspects of that position that play a part, and I would have to say the number one, I mean I could be off on this, is sun. The sun's in my eyes. When you're trying to field a ball that's a pop up or a shot out to the outfield, how difficult is that to read the ball and make sure that you can see it with the sun in your eyes? That's got to be crazy.
It does get difficult at some points, but that's part of being the outfield. You gotta work through it, either wear sunglasses or a visor, and you just gotta catch the ball. That's your job.
Is there sometimes that you see a hit and you judge it, but it can go past you? Does that happen?
That always happens. Like, obviously, every position has mistakes, and you have to judge the ball in the outfield. You have to track it. Like, you have to know where it's going to go. You have to be there to catch it. So, obviously, there are sometimes people track it wrong and it goes above them, or they don't run fast enough to get it. And that just comes with tracking the ball, knowing where it's going to be.
The communication, especially being on the outfield, because you are so spaced apart, there has to be something of where, you know, when you know that the opposing team has got two out, there's two outs for your team. You know, you've seen it in baseball where they're given this sign, the two outs. Is there a lot of communication? You're hearing the girls communicate, yell, scream out there so that the outfield can hear what's going on?
Yeah, so you have to relay it. It goes from the catcher, they talk to the infield turns around, talks to the outfield will talk amongst themselves and tell like if the ball goes here, I'll back you up, I got you on backup. Just always communication.
How do you judge if there's a shot going to the outfield? We've seen this on bloopers where both outfielders go like this, go like this, go like this, and then boom. They have you seen something like that where they don't communicate and there's been a mishap in the outfield? I mean, how
Yes.
is that? Who has the ball? Are you screaming to that other outfielder like, hey, I got this, I got this?
It's always communicating. If you miscommunicate, you can run into each other, you can collide, or you can stop and let the ball drop because you don't know where the other person is. But that's what center field does. Center field is the main communicator in the outfield. If the center fielder calls it, it's their ball. That's why you have to always communicate, tell each other like where you are. If you got the ball, the other person has to back you up or get out of your way.
And Olivia, I got to say this because there's two decisions that are made within that, and they got to be very quick. When you say I have this ball,
You got to get the
be in a
ball.
way of saying I got this, and then you go, oh, I better run. It's got to be I got this and I'm running, right? Isn't that true?
Yes, if you call it, you better get it. Yeah.
Very true, very true. We'll talk about the training of what you have to do. You know, you said you're fast. You're a fast player. You know, with football, they have the 40 time, right? Was there ever a time when you were clocked with your time in softball that can judge your speed?
Yeah, so instead of the 40-meter in football, we do home to first, which is like 60 feet, which is 60 feet. So my home to first is 2.6 as a slapper, and that's pretty fast. So that's how people judge speed off of softball.
Is there an option for you when you're hitting, and we'll get to that aspect of the hitting for you, that you're going to choose to bunt, or because there's signals being given from the coaches, and be clear that are those signals also relaying to the outfield? So is there some of that?
Yes, of course. When you're hitting, the coach will either let you be free and let you judge off the infield and the situation of what you want to do. But sometimes the coach has a certain plan and they'll tell you what to do based off that plan. If the infield's playing up, You can either hit it past them, and then if they're playing back, just bunt, go down to first. It's very situational.
And so Olivia, when she gets on base, watch out because there's a base being stolen. Is that the highlight on you? Is like, oh, watch out for Olivia. She's fast.
Yes, yes. Every time I get on base, I will steal it.
And there's something to be said about sliding, the sliding technique. Some people have slid on their belly and touch the base, and some just do the nice hip slide right to the base. What do you prefer, and what seems to be easier on your body?
Easiest on my body is definitely diving, like on your stomach into the base, but it's definitely situational depending on where the shortstop or second baseman is lining up on the base to tag when you're stealing, or the third baseman or shortstop when you're running to third. It depends on how they set up and how they tag, is depending on how you slide into the base.
Now, so are you a left-handed hitter? You're a slapper, right?
Yes, I switch it, but I'm mainly left. I mainly go from the left side.
Nice, nice. So with that, how have you become a better batter? What have you what have you trained on with the way maybe your footwork is, your stance in the box? What have you noticed is becoming a better slapper in your position as being a batter?
I'm very diverse as a batter. Is probably my main my main key. As a slapper, I can chop slap, I can drag bunt, I can push bunt, I can soft slap, I can hard slap, I can pop it over the infield, drop it right in front of the outfield. And then as a right-handed hitter, I can hit, power hit. I can bunt from the right side also. I can hit from the left side also. So I always keep the infield on their toes.
And you have to be you have to be very observant in a sense of what pitches are coming at you.
Yeah.
Very interesting with regards to the pitcher. Pitcher has a lot on their plate too, but they're throwing pitches at you, trying to get you to feel uncomfortable in the box. What have you noticed about the pitchers when they try to pitch at you? What are you looking for as a batter?
As a slapper, usually when you have 2 strikes or 1 strike even, they will throw you a changeup because if you're a slapper and you go outside the box and you hit it, you're out. That's why they will mainly throw you a changeup, try and get you off balance. But every pitcher is different depending on what they want to do. Every pitcher has certain pitches that they like and don't like. Mainly they'll try and jam you sometimes if you're a slapper because you try and hit it to the opposite side of the field. They jam you is pretty hard to do, but it all depends on the pitcher and what they're feeling.
Well, and I have to say this too, is that if they can keep you, there's this word that I'm looking for, but if they can keep you going, I mean, well, you're going to fight the count, right? So there can be a count of, say, 3-2, 3 balls, 2 strikes, but you're slapping it foul. You're slapping it foul. You're getting good cuts. So
Yes.
you keep your at the plate active. Do you find it that with the pitches being thrown to you, that's a difficult thing? If you're at a full count, is that a difficult thing for you to manage as a hitter?
It obviously depends on the situation, like how tight the game is, how many outs there are, and what the pitcher's throwing you at the time. But it's mainly get the ball in play, and then if you don't like the pitch and it's 3-2, you better be very confident that the ball if you don't swing. If you don't swing, it's a strike. You're in some trouble. But mainly foul it off if you don't like the pitch.
Oh, that's great. And when you get on base, obviously there are calls that, again, your coaches are making calls of, hey, this is a time to steal, or this person's going to bunt, or there's a sacrifice fly, right? Where the other hitter's just going to get some runs in, right? So for you though, when it comes to the coaches, how important is that communication with the coach when you're competing, that you're on the same page? Do you find it that you have to do a lot of communication and a lot of that dialogue?
It's very important. That's why most of the communication, like game plans, happen before the game. So in the game, you're prepared. You know what's going on. You can see what they call you, and you know what you need to do. And you need to be on the same page because if not, their plan for the game can be messed up.
Wow. Yeah. No, that I could see how important that'd be. Training your body, Olivia, that's an important piece to you as a student athlete, and really is the athlete portion of this. You have to train your body. Being a quick, speedy player, you don't want to lose your speed. How do you, because really when you look at any sport, you want to get bigger, faster, stronger. With that being bigger or getting more muscle mass, that's going to be something that can maybe sometimes take away the speed. Some people have felt that, for you, how have you been able to manage your body and so that you don't lose your speed, but then training your body in the gym and the weight room to get faster and stronger, upper body, lower body? And so I think the thing is with that and is that you have to get stronger in either one of those, because again, you're looking at longevity of a sport, right? You don't want to get injured, so it's preventative injuries, but also you want to train your body because there's the lower part of the body, the core, and then the upper body. What have you been able to get better at with regards to that training and that workout regimen?
Overall, everything pretty much. When it comes to lower body, obviously footwork strengthens. When it comes to the weight room, also upper body and lower body. When it comes to throwing, also you strengthen your upper body and your core. Hitting is your arms and your legs. It all comes together into one.
You find it that if you get in the weight room and you have quite a big workout, you're sore the next day.
Yes. If you're not sore, you didn't work out properly.
There you go. There you go. That's very true. In your national teams, what has been the season? What have the seasons been like in travel? Like how competitive have you been with the girls and the coaches and these teams? Have there been any championships that you've been able to play in? Because we find that sometimes those situations that you're put in, those help you in those situations of like, hey, it's a tied ball game, and I have to fight it. I have to grit it out with these teams. Have you been in any experiences like that?
All through my softball career so far, there's all types of situations that are going to put stress on you, stress on your body, stress on you mentally. With stress, when it comes to like obviously championship games, there's a little bit more stress that comes with that. But that's the part about being a student athlete. You got to fight with your team, stick together, and power through to win.
We got a chance to understand a different perspective of Coach Marinakis and what he's doing for the girls of softball with these teams, and he's got them all over, from what I understand. I heard this story about how you have become a mentor to other girls in a sense of, because now you're committed and now there are these other girls that are in high school and they're trying to navigate to an opportunity of getting into college. How have you been instrumental in helping them and working with Coach Marinakis to do that?
All the girls that are signed already are mentors. Obviously, we all go on Zoom calls, every Monday and Tuesday, sorry. And we talk through with them. They go through our letters. If they have questions about the recruiting process, we tell them about ours, the struggles we went through with it, tips and tricks, and pretty much help them through whatever the questions or problems they're having.
Wow, what a resource. I think that's so important to give back, and you've been through the process, right? So talk about recruiting. Boy, oh boy. Yeah, we talked a little bit about that earlier in the interview. We touched on it. Well, let's break it down even further. What was that process like? I mean, your parents are involved in this recruiting process. They're getting calls, they're getting letters, they're getting, coaches are reaching out to you on Twitter, I'm sure. Just talk about what that process was like for you.
My recruiting process started with researching the schools, finding my major and the softball programs that fit my goals. Then I created a presence on Twitter and YouTube. I post my workouts and games daily. I began to email the coaches on September 1st. Had a few coaches call me, and that was very exciting, obviously. And then I began building relationships and coaches and the programs, and just constant communication, keeping those open lines, and talking with them, letting them know what's going on, how my day went, how was my training, my game, how did I play, my stats for that day, just keeping them informed.
There's something about when that coach reaches out to you. To a student athlete, that's just like, I'm on cloud nine, right?
Yes.
Take me through an experience like that where you hear from a coach. How does that make you feel? Because, I mean, when you're playing the game on your national teams, you just know about what you're doing. Sometimes you don't see what's outside of you, and you don't never know when those doors of opportunities open up and you get that call from a coach. How does that make you feel?
It's very rewarding knowing that what you're doing is getting coaches' attention, knowing you're doing something right and doing something proactive. It's very rewarding. It's a very rewarding feeling.
to go further than that, in a sense of where your training that you're doing every single day, the sacrifices you're making, not only academically, but also within your sport, with those 2 training facilities, your coaches, those national teams, that hard work pays off, doesn't it?
Of course, yes.
What are some goals that you have now? You are a Fairleigh Dickinson commit. You decided on a school. You felt that this worked really well with your academics, and you looked over the school, you looked over the program. Why that college and why that decision?
It fit my major, it fit my goals and what I want to do. I love the program, love the coach. It just fit everything for me. All my wants and my needs, it fits.
What have you heard? You know, you got a sister, and I think sister plays a role. She's 20 years old, a little older than you. She has some experience in a sense. Is there something about the next level of college that there, you know, because you are taking some courses now that are getting you prep for college, but is there any fear of the next level for you?
Fears of the next level.
College, attending as an academic student or playing on the next level of softball. Because again, you're coming to a college that there are other girls just as good as you are. And you find that very quickly, academically and in your sport.
Definitely the goals I want to accomplish are being a better teammate than I am yesterday. I was continuing to be better. Proving myself, obviously, to be on the next level, being a D1 college athlete. You want to prove yourself to your coaches, teammates, your local coaches, your travel coaches, to everyone pretty much.
And with your parents, what have you learned about the recruiting process when you made the decision? Parents play a pivotal role with the student athlete to come to hey, mom, dad, this is kind of what I like. I like this school. With the whole recruiting process, do the parents have to be on board sometimes? I mean, we've heard it sometimes with student athletes, they go, you know, my mom and dad wanted me to go here, but I decided to go there. How does your family handle that?
My family supports me whatever decision I make. They weren't really pressuring me into any certain college, which was great. Obviously, that's a lot more stress if they are on a student athlete. They want to make their parents proud and accomplish what they want. But it's mainly about the student athlete. I was very lucky to have parents who supported me in my decision.
We always believe, you know, with the community is everything, especially when it comes to if it's high school support or if it's your national team support. What are some things that, and especially maybe Coach Marinakis he does with his girls, is there any way that in a community level of giving back, is there something that you do or your team does or your school does in order to give back to the community? Because we think the community is such an important piece to a student athlete.
Of course it does. We always, like I said, we always go on the Zoom calls. I text the girls that are on the teams that are in New Jersey, California, Alabama. Always keep constant communication with them, let them know I'm here. They text me if they have any issues, if they have any problems with the recruiting process, and I help them out with that process.
That's great. And the resource is the key piece to that, and you being an instrumental part to that. So that's good. That's good. That's big. Well, I tell you, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, Olivia, about your experience on not only from a national teams that you're playing perspective, but also academically at West Boca High School in Florida. We appreciate you very much, and we've had a great time with you talking about your student athlete progress and really your accomplishments. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. But we're not done yet. We have this thing called the Quick Blitz. Oh, yes. Yes, we get to know you on a more personal level. What is Olivia's favorite food? Come on now. Come on now.
Steak.
Steak?
Steak.
Oh, my goodness. Does it have to be medium rare or well done?
Medium.
There you go. Okay.
Medium rare, yeah.
All right. Favorite dessert?
Ooh. Anything sweet. Sour, like candy.
Baklava?
That's my favorite.
Oh my gosh. Folks, she's Greek, so come on. No, hey, people have their favorites. I get it. Apple or Android, and why?
Apple all the time.
And why? What's so good about it?
Just a better phone. You can do so much more than Apple. It's just so much easier to use. It's so much easier to use.
Favorite musical artist, if you had to choose a musical artist, Olivia? I know there's a bunch, but I know there's one.
That's not easy. I really can't choose that.
Is there a top 5?
I mainly like rap, that genre. There aren't a lot of
Well, I mean,
favorite genre.
yeah. So, I mean, what's your favorite genre?
Rap.
Okay, hip hop. So
Yeah.
there's a lot. Hey, I'm gonna throw out some names. There's Lil Baby. There's
It's mainly J. Cole, NF, Eminem, and Logic.
there you go. So that by me throwing out names, I was able to get something from you of who you like. Okay, we got you. Favorite cleat to wear?
Mizuno.
There you go. Favorite mitt?
Wilson.
Okay, there's a lot to choose from out there too.
There are a lot of choose from.
Right. Favorite casual shoe if you had to choose one to wear?
You mean the style?
Any shoe. Like, is there a particular shoe you like to wear? What's your favorite to wear casually?
Maybe my Nikes, my Air Maxes.
Comfortable. I got you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very comfortable.
If Olivia had to choose a destination spot anywhere in the world, where would that be?
Hawaii, maybe.
Have you ever been?
No, I really want to though.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Let's get serious on a couple things. If you were late somewhere, Olivia, and you had to tell somebody, let them know where you're at, what's going on, would you call or text, and why?
Call, depending on what they're doing. If I know they're busy in like a conference call or something, I'll text them. If they're at a practice or something they have access to their phones, I'll call.
There you go. Now, movie theaters are starting to open up. So nobody's really been in a movie theater in a while. So I would say, what was the last movie you just saw?
Oh my gosh, I haven't been in a movie theater in like 2 years.
But it could be something on like Netflix or whatever. Something that
The last movie I saw in general, Iron Man 3.
Oh, okay. That's a good one.
Iron Man 3.
It was sad when Iron Man died.
Oh my gosh, it was so sad. It was so sad. It was devastating.
It's like, where do we go from here? And then especially Captain America gives up his shield, right? So I know somebody has to have Disney Plus over there.
Yes, we do.
I knew it.
We do.
That's true. If Olivia had to choose a car or SUV, any car or SUV to drive, what would Olivia drive?
Lamborghini Aventador.
Wow. She just was like quick with it.
Lamborghini or Corvette.
Okay, there you go. Particular color?
White or black.
Okay.
Maybe.
What was the last thing your dad told you and said to you?
You want breakfast?
That's awesome.
I mean.
Right. Last thing your mom said to you. You better do this interview.
Wake up.
Wake up. Okay. Does Olivia like to sleep in?
No.
No?
I never sleep in.
Oh, interesting.
Even on days that I can sleep in, I just wake up at 9. Like, just how my body wakes me up at 9 o'clock.
There you go.
Yeah.
Talk about this. If you could choose, let's just say this: if there was a way to make an impact in the world today, things have been crazy. In 2020, things have been crazy with politics and Black Lives Matter and just a lot of different social injustice and so on and so forth. But for you, Olivia, if you could choose one thing you could have an impact in the world for change of something that you believe in that's powerful for you, what would that one thing be and why?
I think just for people to put aside their difference in the way and just not create so much conflict and just respect each other's opinions and not have it be an issue.
No, that's true. That's big. Now, this is the last question for you. And I hope you get this right. You're a junior. So, next year you'll be a senior. It's what you would prefer, okay? It's what you would prefer. Would you prefer a steak that's not cooked the way you like? Or would you rather be on Outside the Game show?
Outside the Game show.
Of course, you would not want a steak that's not prepared right. You'd say, can you take that back the way I want, please?
Of course.
Right. Olivia, it's been a pleasure to have you on our show and Outside the Games. We wish you all the best, especially if you're commit to Fairleigh Dickinson and that college and playing softball and the academics there on that next level. Now, again, you're a junior, so there's some time, right? There's some time. But at West Boca High School in Florida, you're continuing to work hard on and off the field. We believe character is such an important piece, and we've gotten to know your character a little bit here. We appreciate you very much and appreciate all that your parents are doing for you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Been nice to have you. Thank you.
This is Savannah Gemolo, and you've been watching Outside the Games with your host, Kevin Menton.